Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the start of a very new year indeed. We are back, and I couldn't be more excited for this next round of life, I suppose, that will appear on its own time. But I really started to feel super ready to hop back up on these. For me, in my experience, it has been a pretty big constant recording videos for you guys. But I haven't got to a point where it's been recurring the way I would like. And this is going to happen well, how this is going to happen is going to happen my way ultimately, because I'm the one doing all the fucking work. So, anyways, with that being said, though, it has been a couple of weeks since I recorded, and it was my plan to really have our video diaries come out monthly. And I was stating that in last year's video diaries, which you guys barely got the ending of not too long ago. And honestly, the idea needed some time to develop and grow. I am an ever changing person, and the way I look at things and need to create always ever changes as well. And it's been interesting to find how to create an urgency in self sufficiency um, when it comes to all of this in my craft, just because I know it's important. Um, and most importantly, it's important for myself. So, this is kind of if you're a creative, you kind of know what I'm talking about. But welcome to 2025 Multimedia Diaries. Um, the name is a bit of an adjustment, I will say, but I came to the conclusion that these are, yes, they are monthly video diaries, but they are ultimately um, multimedia video diaries in its essence as well. And so I want that to be very well known. But um, hmm, yeah, if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Fabian. As an artist, I go by Rockwell, but we like to talk a little bit about everything here. We like to talk about poetry. Um, we like to talk about photography. If you're a writer in any form, I really enjoy writing myself. So I always have a bit of a monthly biography going on, and ultimately, the core and heart of these videos is within my playlist that I make every month, and they are ultimately my creative outlet. And this is just a video diary that reflects all of those nice little bits and pieces that make a puzzle full, essentially. And this year we're changing some things up. I do want to include the poetry that I write towards the end of the month. And the name of the game this year, guys, is Total Expansion. And the best way that I feel like I can show that for you is just by doing it. And I can't wait for the ride. This is recurring entropic Suspiria. And what the heck does that even mean, right? So, recurring entropic Suspiria is the title I named the month of January. If you guys are a person like me, um, January is not essentially like our new year. I think it's a really good time to have those ideas floating around in your brain, or those concepts of a new year, new me kind of thing. However, if you've ever noticed in our behaviors, I guess, in life, and this is dependent on every person's will for say, but I noticed, especially last year, my trend of like getting on top of my shit behavior didn't happen until spring. And I feel that it's a very natural thing to follow the winter, and most animals, if you pay attention, hibernate in the winter. I feel like we're meant to take in those elements as well. And so for me, I like to do that. I like my winter to be pretty still, pretty inner thought provoking, and having ideas marinate throughout that time. This year has been loaded with both. And I am honestly ever grateful for it. So I didn't get as quite of a hibernation period as I would have liked, but I did take the time to marinate my ideas better than I have before and like lay out and draw out and map out and write out and note out every little detail and expand on them from there. Once spring comes is truly like I feel like the start of our new year where all of those things start becoming habits that are just ingrained. And so like my last year around March was when I started these diaries and took them a lot more seriously for myself. Um and that was when I like planned everything and it was in motion and it was go from there. So you guys didn't see the fruition of the videos until much later, but like for me by this time I've done that part. And so like by come March, the end of this month, you will be seeing things. Let's just leave it at that. But my point of all of this is if we flow with the seasons, essentially, as lame and cliche as that sounds, and kind of tack on the behaviors that seasons are meant to bring naturally, um, then I feel like we would find all of the things we're hoping for a lot more beneficial, especially if they don't always work out right away in the beginning, or you get frustrated with yourself, like, why isn't this working out? It's it's because you have to be patient and everything comes at its given time properly if you're doing the work and marinating with it as well. So, best advice and last year's theme of like a garden and growing and all that stuff. Um, take that into account and just let your seeds grow and you will see your flowers bloom down the line. Right? Yeah. Sorry, that was a tangent for you guys, but I felt it was a little bit important of a backstory. With the title, I was very influenced by film. In the month of January, me and my partner do sit and watch a lot of film, TV. Obviously, I'm inspired by everything that is creative and feels like a type of art. So, aside from music, one of my first passions and loves was also film. Um, and for me this year, I really wanted to implement a lot of different things in how I listen to my music and the behaviors I carry with them because that I like to change every year as well. This year is a lot more consistent, but I wanted to be able to really listen in on the soundtracks that I really love and enjoy, as well as the music I currently have. I really wanted to dive back into, and anything I explore, I truly want to explore from within the range of artists I already have in my catalogs. Um, I feel that this was necessary to do because it's a way of naturally, for me at least, letting myself look inward. And a lot of times, music always evolves and has more significant meanings than we let on. So, there's going to be a video at some point that dives a little bit more into the context of that mental matter. but it is a method of mine, I suppose, that I have come up with. So, another strange little tangent for you guys, but these playlists that I have been making are a lot more inward directed because there's things that I'm hoping to aim with the outcome of them. And I feel like I've been on the right track with it. So, with Suspiria, we watched the 2018 remake. That is an absolutely gorgeous film about a group of savage witches and their coven in a dance studio. And within this dance studio, just political witch drama. Like it's all internal and within, and it felt very in line and mirrored. And you'll notice that a lot with this as well. So I did play around with what January was going to be, but once I had it, I had it. And it did evolve from a lengthy title to like two-worded title, like original. I almost just made it a month thing, but I could not shake the feeling that coming off of last year, I really liked the three-worded titles. And so I want to say originally I was trapped around four words specifically, and I couldn't get them right together or shuffling them around. And the English language is just so fun. Um, so I, I I shaved a bit off, and I feel like the title explains the message very well of how the month of January was and how it reflects within the music. I knew early on that entropy or entropic was going to be a part of this title, and ultimately it means like a reoccurring disruption of like deep sighs, you know. Suspiria is very much the concept. I guess like in Latin it means the mother of sighs. So with the movie, it correlates to that a lot more. Um, but for us, it was this ever present like feeling, like dead ass, like just like a linger of a sort was happening. And so this felt very brooding enough, I would say, that matched the level of what entropy meant. Obviously, there was a lot going on in January in fucking our climate, so no bueno there. Um, and it just felt like, aside from the world's systems crashing over, there was a lot of things in my internal life that were really crashing over. And I'm like really proud to say that it was me. I was purposefully crashing a lot of things in my life. Um, and yeah, I don't know. We're all on our journeys in our own way. And I feel like if we just own up for who we are and who we want to be or who we're going to be forward, like you can make that magic happen. Um, and just recurring was this constant pressing that like I always feel on certain matters that, you know, have been being taken care of and handled like the way that they were supposed to be. And um, the they are, to be clear, guys, they are taking care of the false promises you tell yourself. Okay? So, sorry for the very long explanation of this title, but there's a lot of themes, there's a lot of things going on in my head, and um, lots of creativity and inspiration and all that stuff. So, if you like a good ramble video, these are probably going to start to be that a little bit more, um, especially since we have plenty of focuses. But yeah, welcome along. That's our title. I do want to talk about our photography. Not a lot of photography came out of um, our reoccurring Suspiria month, but I did take plenty of photos, and there were obviously a couple of things that I really did like, but I felt like it was really hard to capture this feeling of this depth of sort. And this photo that I took of the lovely trains in Chicago is the closest thing that I felt really represented the themes that we're discussing here. It's a really good photo, I will say. The more I look at it, um, it was meant to be what it was, 100%. And this is actually a zoomed in version of the photo, just so you guys kind of know. But I took the picture. Um, all I ever really do is when I take a picture, I like to just slightly lower the brightness on things just because I feel like it helps really clear things up. Ideally, I would have loved if on the left and right sides of the beams they were darker. However, the sunlight in this picture is what captures everything for me because this feels very tunneled. It feels very endless, and each beams in the way are constant. And so I do feel that this really represented the month very well. I just wish I had found something cooler, I guess. But it doesn't make it a bad picture. I just know in my repertoire of things, this isn't anything special. And like, at least maybe to me, you guys might like this photo a lot. Um, I think I got it as centered and as straight as I possibly could have. But yeah, I think like there's some certain natural elements in this picture that I wish didn't exist. Like the trash can, like don't piss me the fuck off right now. But these are little details a photographer can only dream of, and I'm not going to touch anyone's public property. But I do walk past this often. It leads to a really nice trail, and I just can't wait for it to get really nice again. Um, we're recording today because it's actually the nicest day that we've had in Chicago so far. Um, and because we're on a timeline. But yeah, so I really loved this picture, and there were some other things that I took in the month, but I didn't take too many pictures um, for our Entropic month, and this was our final. So I did play around with it being far away or super close, and I really liked the beams closing in um, right here at the corners of the playlist. I think what bothers me is like not everything is super symmetrical, and I feel like that would have helped um that 100% feeling, but that's life, you know. Life isn't fucking symmetrical. All right. With that being said, every month I like to make a little biography for the playlist. It kind of sums up things nicely. Writing is also one of my very first loves, and last year really helped me get to a healthy place with it. The point is, I tried a lot of different things. I really liked writing out like long blogs regarding our my playlists. Um, but I don't even personally have like an attention span to read like super long things like that unless I'm reading a book or something. And I'm not looking to like have a magazine, and I'm not some like prolific writer either. At the end of the day, I just so happen to like writing, and the biographies really help me wrap up the month, the feeling of it, and like bits and pieces of everything. And so sometimes we lean more with like a musical aspect, and sometimes we lean with less. Um, and so for this month, I said, there's something about this month that feels like a whisper, bellowing, hidden things calling, unknown and deeply rooted. Places where a convergence of sorts occur, drawing inspiration from film, moments, and history. This next chapter shows itself to be a bit of untreaded territory. The desire to fall more deeply within has never been greater. Its costs interestingly worthwhile, and expansion from within shows that some hard shells are just other layers to let go of at its given time. Nostalgia plays a massive factor in this playlist as I dive further into my personal discography and shift focus to feel gratitude in the things we currently have. Moments are carried by sound itself more than ever, and violins find um, at a bit of a heart's center within this one. We are all just moving along as best as we can, might as well enjoy the art around us as much as possible. With more love than ever, Fabian R, and that is me, signing for you guys because it has never been truer, I must say. I think we are at a place where we really have to give as much kind of love as we can give out for one another as possible. Um, some things make me feel like humanity is heading in the right direction, and then sometimes, there's like groups and pockets of people that really like, yeah, hold on to what you can hold on to. Not to get dark and stuff there for a sec, because this biography really isn't a dark message at all. I think the point of everything that I always have to offer and say is just from that big reflective state of love. So you guys have it. I do not always say things the best, in the best tone, I suppose, or delivery. And yeah, just know everything from within is always coming from a good place. And yeah. All right. Let's talk about some fucking music, though. January brought us some projects, I will say. I kicked my year off personally with, I was diving back into old things. If you were following the last couple of playlists, that was a really big theme for those last couple of months. And it was a practice that I didn't commit to 100%. And it was with intention on that because I knew this year it was going to be a full throttle kind of thing. Um, and so, with that being said, all I've been doing is shuffling my discography. It's so disruptive. Like, for somebody who grew from listening to albums, you know, in a cycle, and then when I got tired of them, I would, go on to the next thing. Um, from someone who made monthly playlists but would rarely listen to them entirely, to being consistent with my playlists that I make, having that clear intention behind it. And so with these this year, same thing. Everything else is the same. Titles are long. Um, Biographies are happening. Where poetry is all the time. Like, we are living, breathing poetry, guys. Like, and yeah, like, we are fucking multitudes. I'm going to be my multitude and my version of that. And same thing with fucking music, guys. Like, I am listening to everything because it's all there. And I do think, like, our library algorithms, I don't know if we really have one or if it is truly just shuffled, but I feel like the songs that have found me within the last couple of months that are like, have been there, make so much sense in what has been put into these playlists, especially with January so far. The new stuff that we have comes from, again, that like exploration that does this year have a bit of a boundary, because it's like hard blocking things that can be let in. That's what I haven't been that good at this year, but I did pretty well in January, I will say. um and oh, this is what I was going to mention earlier, and I told you the thought was going to come back again, like how I was mentioning winter and stuff. I like that the first 3 months are like trial and error, like what really works. And that was very present when we first started the diaries. The very first three were not conceptually originally what it turned out to be. And I'm very happy with how far we've gotten, and I'm just happy to see where we go now. But the way I'm doing things now, I like that it is a rocky start, essentially. Like it isn't 100% consistent. Like it's not locked in just yet, but it's supposed to be that way. You're supposed to try things until it feels right for you. And so that's why I kind of just wanted to go into this one with you guys today. If it feels a bit sporadic, it's meant to. It's meant to feel that way. But anywho, um, with the playlist, we have some new things, we have some old things, but they are all within this world that I've always currently had up to this point. Um, and yeah, I feel like that was a little bit more of a discussion on how this playlist is a little bit, or how the methods of things are moving forward. But important backstory for you guys. But with that being said, this playlist was built around, that shuffle first when I started the year. And that brought me to listening to an artist named Luna Lee. She had a song that I really liked, and I used as an interlude somewhere, and I always meant to go back to it. But in the theme of soundtracks and just ambience, more or less, this was a project of hers that has no lyrics. It is purely a like acoustic guitar based record. It's a very short album. It's 10 tracks and it's about 10 minutes long entirely. But I have to say, guys, like it was a 10 out of 10. I loved it so much. And when I first heard the song that I really liked and had saved as the interlude, um, I knew I wanted to go back to this one at some point, but I knew I wouldn't have appreciated it the way I needed to here. And where I've gone with like the flow of the music that I crave late, and like how you guys have followed last year, I really liked um a lot more natural instrumentations. So I feel like this found me at the right time because it just feels very light and breezy, and it was the perfect album for me to really listen to this year. It's called Jam's EP. It doesn't feel like an EP though, like it does feel like a standalone project, and I was excited to expand on her repertoire, and I'm excited to dive into her actual discography at some point this year because it definitely has chartered an interest within me. Um, and I found some songs that threw on this playlist that are very important. Um, the other album that came out, I want to say it was second in the year, is Franz Ferdinand put out an album called The Human Fear. And I will always give love to my alternative boys. And while I did not currently have Franz Ferdinand in my discography, I have listened to them throughout my life, and they were a unique area um, in like listening to music when I was growing up. But obviously, I liked a lot of their like bigger hits at a time, and they were a part of me at one point. So I felt like, sure, let me give this a shot. Um, on first listen, I had so much fun with it, and there were a lot of sounds that I felt um, were nostalgic yet fresh, and then at times felt too familiar and replicated. So it was like it's an album that feels very split down the middle for me. Um, and then even with like the songs, I was like, I really like this half and I really don't care for this half. And that's the thing, guys. Like, not every artist is going to be for everybody, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who really enjoy Franz Ferdinand. But I guess because I've never followed them, felt ultimately that this was something I would have to come back to because the more I did listen to everything, the more I felt not so connected with it. Um, and also like certain like sonic elements couldn't like hold it enough for me. So I personally gave this one a 5 out of 10, just because of that, like that I don't have the exact place to really speak on it too much, and who knows, within time, um, may it come back to me in a different light. You know what I mean? Or it just never works for me, and that's totally fine too. But I would recommend checking it out if you do like Franz Ferdinand. There were certain bands that they really, really reminded me of, like it was a little spot on the nose, like reminiscent. Um, but it was a very creative record, and there are a lot of sounds that really do stand out, and a lot of alternative tricks in the bag that were really nice to hear. Our other kind of, I suppose, main album of this month was Ethel Cain put out Perverts. And Ethel did really lead the year with quite a shock. And I think people need this shock. And in the context of things that linger and are like in the back of our heads at all times, that's how this album feels for me. I did give this one an 8 out of 10. This is a highly unique record and soundscape listening experience. I would say there are only like two real songs. I would say, and I do not mean this in a bad way at all. Ethel created one of the most unique bodies of works I have ever heard in my life. This is a highly artistic approach, like a highly artistic approach to someone's craft. And just the fact that she's like, I can fucking do it and did it. And here we are speaks volumes. I do think it's a tough um, experience to kind of follow up with. Like, I don't think you're going to have an experience like this with any album you're going to listen to from an artist this year. And it is perfectly in line with the deep, bellowing feeling of Suspiria. Um, this one, though, however, is a record that I can tell I have to grow with, and I am listening to her as slowly as I need to because she has a lot to offer within the world of what Perverts is. The girl is very bold with her lyrics, especially starting up a line talking about like God and masturbation, and yeah. But at the end of the day, like every single person on earth is a sexual being as well. Um, and so I just really enjoy how fucking real and raw Ethel Cain is, and the woman doesn't give a single fuck. And we need to be supporting artists like this much more highly than ever because these are artists that are truly sacred. And so yeah, I can't see this being adapted as a concert, but I could see it being adapted as a type of live experience. And so I'm interested if she will do something for it. I don't think that would be the case, but um, uh, visuals on point for this era. Um, Everything matches, is cohesive. The body of work is cohesive as fuck. It gets dark where it gets dark. It gets tough, I will say, where it gets tough. And there's maybe one or two tracks that are truly a bit difficult to get through just because A soundscape is a very elongated form of instrumentation, and there is a lot of reoccurring and constants in this type of flow. And so it can get tricky for a musical listening experience, but this is something that like everybody needs on vinyl and you listen to while you're reading like a mystery or a horror book or something like, something very intense feeling. But there is, like I said, a lot to offer in this, and so I feel like you guys are going to be seeing perverts throughout my year. Um, so stay tuned because that is an evolution project if I've like ever seen one. Um, Biggest album of the year. I mean, I guess it didn't come out wrong, but the biggest album of January and personally up to this year for real has been Thicka Twigs or FKA Twigs Eusexual. Eusexual is the pinnacle of human experience. And this is a phrase that she has been repeating throughout the marketing of the rollout of this project quite well. And it was something that I was like, I know I want to experience the hell out of this. And the fucking album is literally an experience as well. I think it's the perfect kind of mm, I don't know. My girl likes January. I don't know why she likes releasing albums in January. I know it's because she's a Capricorn. I know it's because she's a Capricorn, and that makes sense. We all like adhere our most authentic and explosive energies within our like realms. So I do the same thing, girl. You will always catch me releasing something really good around the time of Aquarius season. And gosh, like what the hell is there to even say about this album? Rollout was crazy. I try not to pay attention, but some eras are so good. She opened with Eusexual. The aesthetics, the single covers, everything about it were so good. It's very alien-esque and cyborgy and just fucking weird, guys. Like it's just like let's fucking admit it. It's all kind of weird and amazing at the same time. Um, and so I've really liked that about that. The fucking cover is sick, like sick. And it is really hard to do white justice like that. But fuck, man. And the only thing you can focus on is her. Makeup is so good. Mug sits right. Like everything. Ugh, it's so good. Um, we had, I can't remember if Drums of Death came next or Perfect Stranger. Um, Drums of Death, like I heard and I was like, heard it in the music video and I was like, I don't want to listen to it again. I don't. So I know she put out some stuff for it, which I did watch after the album came out, finally. But I was like, that's too good. I do want to experience it though with the album in full. And then I do believe, again, vice versa, one or the other came out, but I want to say Perfect Stranger came out next. It was like an official single. And we did watch the video when it first came out, but same thing. I saved it for later. I did go back to it like every now and then, and it was a slow burn song for me to really enjoy, but man, is that a good song. That is like a perfect pop song, guys. Um, and it just, I feel like, I don't even know. Um, I want to say there was another song she had released, but I don't think I paid attention when she did because again, this was one that I needed to fully experience as it came out, and I just really loved it. Like Vika came out with a fucking bang. Um, she dropped Striptease once the album came out as a fucking single and official music video, and that music video is so gorgeous. Everything is just so crisp, and all of the videos is just like an endless array of such good art. Yeah, such good art. Um, and that's what I really love. Just like an artist who isn't afraid. Those are the kind of people that we can really look up to. Um, but to talk in depth about the album itself, 10 out of 10. I could be biased, but there isn't a song on there that is not listenable or enjoyable in its own way. I do think, like, um, there is one song in particular that I do think is probably at like the very bottom of the record for me, but it completely has like a sonic shift at the end that like it's just so cool. And the whole song isn't even bad. It's just again, some things can be a little too weird at times, but I have constantly listened to everything, and in fact, I wish we had more of Eusexual, which is I think the only thing I would really say against this one. My girl likes very short official albums. I'm gonna need her to make this one like a 12 or 13 track officially because I feel like this expansion and world of what Eusexual is, and I know what it is, guys. I really do, but I feel like for the album alone, I wish we just had a little bit more to play around with what that is entirely. It's all there. There are so many themes that Fika is also very bold with in this, and there is this constant theme for her of like submission with her partnerships. And if you relate to that, um, which is funny because, like, as a gay person, yes, I can relate to that. And I'll let you guys explore on your own terms. But fuck, man, she does it so good. Like, it's just mm, that like perfect intimate explanation and like subtlety but like directness. The girl is poetic as hell. She is just, I feel like, a master at her craft and a genius on her own with her talents. And I haven't been with Vika forever, but I have been following her along the past few years. um, and I feel like her authenticity and braveness as an artist just speaks volumes on its own. And that is truly a woman to be feared of. And I know that everything else that comes with the experience of Eusexual is going to come with tour, which was a battle all on her own. But if you got tickets, we're all there. I can't fucking wait. Um, and yeah, but that's Eusexual, guys. So she is throughout the playlist as well. There are sprinkles of all of these records there. And I do want to get into the songs with you guys so that we're not taking too very long. Um, in the past couple of videos, and this has been a thing that just grew with me over time, but it was a way of representing the playlist at the very beginning, that the first four tracks would really speak to the elements and themes within this little sonic world that you guys would experience should you choose to listen to the playlist. You do not have to, um, if you are here for one art form or the other. But within this, we open with this track called Suspirium by Tom York. And this is from the record. so fucking beautiful. It was just the perfect opening for this. Not just the like, yeah, everything about it. It was for the fucking month, the feeling, the year entirely. Like it just, it's so beautiful, so light. Tom York has such a haunting voice to him, and like naturally, man, he is so talented. He is so talented, and he was the perfect person to um one score the film. And I have watched Suspiria many times. It is an ever evolving film. A lot of things I feel like are going to represent this throughout the course of not just this month, but this year. Um, this theme of recurrence. And if you rewatch a film, there are so many things you can take away, so many details you've missed and picked up. And we watched this. I don't even know why. I just like called to us to watch it again. And as soon as I started hearing the score, it never hit me like this before ever in my life. And this is how I feel like we just sometimes have to be at certain places in our life to feel really connected to things. Um, Selfishly, I wish I had great, phenomenal music taste throughout my life, but it's something you build over time. And so, like last year with Radiohead, it hit so hard because I had never been at a point in my life where I even connected with, music like that. So same thing for like some of the scores, like sonically, like there are feelings imbued into these escapes, and the simplicity of this piano and what he's singing about. One is for like inspiration from that film and its message, but the way I could take it into life as well was just ugh, perfect, perfect type of opening. Our next track is called There'd Better Be a Mirror Ball by Arctic Monkeys.
And say, baby, it's me.
First of all, a vocalist. There are not many men who have that much decorum when it comes to singing, and Arctic Monkeys evolved in such a way that I think people were not ready for. Of course, I miss our harder Arctic Monkeys, and I miss them raging out sometimes, but this song comes from the Cars record, and I remember listening to it and being completely like in awe of it because it feels very soundtracky on its own. Um, but it's such a very mature and classy record, and it expands, I feel like, on their first attempt with um, the record before that. I can't think of it right now, but their album After AM, with the piano and the song they've got on there, The Cheese, something, I don't fucking know. But I know everyone was really disappointed and let down, and then was really hoping for A bit of a return, but this song itself, so good, and just the like mirroring theme that we have going on, and like everything it's speaking for is just very beautiful. And what carries this for me is the violins, which is a subtle yet very present instrument throughout this playlist. Um, and the feeling that like last minute and a half invokes with his harmonization and the violins collectively, just this like grandeur of like hopeful sadness at the same time. Like, I don't know, it's just very beautifully done, and that is like, goddamn, a perfect song for real. um The other song we've got for in this our little 4-track opening run is called Being You by Father John Misty.
Even the late ones like Desire, Rancho, Last Rites. Just a spitting image of someone that I knew. It's like I wonder what it's like to be you.
I'm getting ahead of myself here. Yeah, but that one is a very diaristic track, and I feel like it starts to where Suspiria was very stripped back, um, and our last track that we listened to was very violin focused. There was still simplicity in both, whereas I feel like this track really, like, first of all the opening 4 tracks like feel very spiritually aligned. Like, there is a strength to these, which is why they kind of go first. And Being You like really emphasizes that as well. This is a album that I'm particularly also taking my time with, like Ethel's record. I did mention this one before in a couple of my previous videos, but it feels like I've been going like song at a time with it. Like a new song suddenly connects with me, because it is a very beautiful album as well, and it's very got all these gorgeous elements playing with each other, and I loved the jazz element to this one. And I feel like the production picks up a little bit more, and so it starts to have a lot more of those playful elements that would be carried within a lot of the worlds of this particular playlist. Then we go into a song that also found us per movie, and it is called Baby by Hannah Cohen.
You keep just
Like, what?
just wanna be your baby sometimes.
I don't know exactly what it was in this one. I just found it to be such a phenomenal song. And first of all, entirely written by her. So fucking round of applause for that because it is Women's Month all month and every year. Um, Currently in March it is. But anywho, she really reminds me of a little of Julia Jacqueline vocally. Not that they are the same artist, but they definitely mirror each other a little bit in terms of feeling and weight. And I was really right now just truly admiring how poetic her lyricism is. I had like not caught that before. That's, you know, didn't catch my attention too much, but found this song based on a movie we were watching with Anna Kendrick. I can't think of the title right now, but she is in an abusive relationship, and we were just like really craving a Lifetime movie sort of vibe, but obviously something that was good. And the drama and suspense around that entire film was truly heartbreaking for where the final scene happens. It is so simple and subtle, but is ultimately the message. And this song came on for the credits, and I was like, hold the fuck on. I know whose voice this is. And sure enough, I have a really good friend who showed me a song by Hannah Cohen, and specifically this album, the Pleasure Boy. I could be wrong. Yeah. So this album is called Pleasure Boy. Gorgeous, very gorgeous cover. She also did White Justice. Um, Again, not an easy thing to do, but I loved how much white there was with this, just because it's a good clean slate to start things with. Um, and means a lot for me specifically, at least. And yeah, I was like, wow, I know this. It struck me really well. It fits in perfectly with our soundtrack kind of theme that happened for January, and just that weight. I feel like at the end of the day, whether people admit it or not, like we all carry our own sadnesses with us everywhere we go, and so this kind of felt like it carried that for me, which you can be grateful for music for because it does the emotional work for you, and you're allowed to feel that when you're feeling it, and then you can move on from it. Like Lana says, we give ourselves 2 seconds to cry, okay? But the reason we went so in depth with these first 4 tracks, guys, is because this is going to be a part of a new little moment that I would like to call the Elite Four. It may not appear in every single video. It is dependent on the playlist that we're going to be receiving. And ultimately, if it really works out that way, but it started the year with a fucking banger with these top 4 tracks. And so I do, if you've never heard these songs, recommend them for you. And they really speak volumes for it. Again, kind of just these are those songs that really feel so spiritually connected to me and aligned. And their message is beautiful. The song itself is just completely stellar. Like, these are what I found, especially in these months, to be like the cream of the crop discoveries, or whatever you may like to call them. But I think it would be a fun little segment, at least for me. And yeah, we're not going to talk about all of the songs that are in the playlist. I realize now that that is going to take way too long. Just in general, it has taken long, and for the future, because we got work to do. And I want you guys to be able to, should you choose to listen to the playlist, have that experience for yourself. And that is something that if you want to comment down below on, you can let me know. And that would mean a lot to me. But again, all up to you guys. And this playlist really opens up with Start Again by Ellie Goulding, which is part of her project Blue, Brightest Blue. So I'm not going to play the song, but it's a really cool production and transforms a lot. And I really thought that this was one of her most authentic bodies of work, and so it was nice that it came on in the shuffle of things, and it was a good way to really like flip that switch from the first four tracks to kick it into high gear with what you would be listening to. It also transitions with Omar Apollo's. He has this like ability to like very have like interlude feeling songs that are very like genre bending and also play around with that. And he's so good at carrying rhythm. So like you have There For You as a sort of interlude kind of thing, and you're starting to flow with a bit of a more of an alternative kind of approach to stuff. I've got Automotion with Your Eyes Dissolve Into the Sea, who was a really big artist for me last year. But our first highlight that we really fall into is Baby Shred by Luna Lee, and it was the first. I want you guys to know that like the interludes in this are very like key moments and switches, and so this was a subtle one. Yeah, that's a bit of Baby Shred for you guys, and it was very important for me just because it felt like a very um, how I'm gonna explain as a very like intimate stamp for my month. We got some very beautiful news, and this one just felt very important to me and very right, and um, helped me within the month. But nonetheless, the fucking guitarism and everything in it just speaks for itself, and it was so warm and uplifting, and just you can groove to it, and it just feels like the early morning, like, you know. She is wonderful at what she does, and I need her and like Krongman to collaborate because she did what I need them to be able to do all the time, which they have it 1,000%. But I don't know. This was I just enjoyed it a lot. The sound stripped backness of it. Um, you know, you get a little bit of Florence. She flows right into that with Back in Town, which is a song from Dance Fever. And I like that things kind of naturally have appeared for me that like mean different things at different times. Because to be honest, like this one from Dance Fever didn't strike me before until this moment. It was a good song, and I obviously listened to it and saved it. So when it came on shuffle, I'm just like, oh. um, yeah. Our next big kind of stamp, though, is another soundtrack based moment, and it is Mia and Sebastian's theme from La La Land. And this was important because we rewatched La La Land again. It was just like a thing that like I had only watched it once before, and it was when it first came out. It was all the rave, and it was overly popularized to an annoying extent, and I stand on that. However, this was a movie that carries such themes as well that you have to really have lived a certain amount of life to experience, and that does not matter. Like, I'm not like anybody at any age could experience that, but for me, I was innocent to a lot of the realities of themes that were being played around with in this one. And so I definitely did not appreciate La La Land when it first came out. In fact, I like hated the movie. And I just like got smacked in the face with this movie, like rewatching it now, near like a decade after it came out. And it's so beautiful. And this theme carries through the soundtrack of this fucking movie is insane. I'm not a big musical person at all. So like, I'm not a super big fan of like the more musical numbers, but the there's like an intelligence behind like the use of their music. It was so intentional throughout the film, to display like Mia and Sebastian's relationship, and their theme song within a minute and 30 seconds like explains their entire relationship without fucking words, you guys. And so this one really speaks to like this level of, um, one of their biggest themes is everyone's a dreamer, or if you're a dreamer, you would understand this feeling. And that just spoke volumes to me. It spoke enough, and this is another key point, in this playlist. And then we do flow. It gets a little bit. I followed it up with Lennon Stella. She has a song called Bubble. This song like kind of found me again this month. And it was a really nice flow within the realm of femininity that we have. I was gearing up for Foster the People since I was seeing them in February, and I put the song called 3 from their Sacred Hearts Club record on there. It was just this really cool alternative thing that like re-brought the vibe up, to be ready for Sticky by Fika Twigs from Eusexual.
I'm tired of messing up my life with
Her album cover is so cool.
moments and sticky situations.
There's that piano. I didn't notice it before, so that was really fucking cool. However, you can tell like with this song, she has a very specific flow. It sounds sad and stuff, and then it starts to build, and she completely cuts it off and lags it a bit. So then, when it's matched with the lyricism, it drops that heaviness that you were almost expecting the build to have brought, and she does it so cleanly. And like, this song is cool because it carries those elements that you're hearing sonically and completely elevates, I feel like, the experience. So, you know, like, you reach heights in certain songs that like weren't you wouldn't be expecting, but it feels exactly right. And I used a Mahalia Jordan song to transition that into this song called, Affleck's Palace by Floating Points. And this is like a near 7-minute, very techno, like, again, sonic landscape. And so this was a very pinnacle like point in the playlist as well. So you'll notice a lot of like, back and forth with this. It's like that constant repetition, so it feels like something transitional, and then it feels like something significant, and everything just works well. But I'll play this a little bit. So it just feels like this very spatial kind of thing. Um, and I feel like it plays around with like things that like eusexual feels like as well. And it just flows with everything else. Techno is so stripped back in electronic music in a way that it feels like rhythmic. And there's a constant like build or addition at some point, and it takes its time to do it, and so I really like it for that reason. It's not a genre I fully explore, but I did listen to his project, and this was just one of those things that really stood out to me. Um, and it also feels like this, like how we talked about, like this depth feeling, like this feeling of depth. So everything really was important to feel stretched out in places. And just certain songs do that with their atmosphere. Um, and so I really liked that one. Um, it flows again into a bit more of an alternative scape. You've got some Muse, some Villagers, Best Coast throwbacks, the one Franz Ferdinand song I did save. Um, you've got Washed Out in there, who is another highly ambiatic um, artist. Foster the People, Thicka Spread Out. The Suspiria soundtrack is within this. Perfume Genius did release a song called It's a Mirror, and I think that there is going to be a part of Perfume Genius that is a very big pinnacle of the year, so we'll talk about him later. Um, and yeah, just you're going back and forth with like a lot of those themes and stretches and depths. Beach Fossils, Muse, Swedish House Mafia, um, and yeah, but it all really carries and flows, and you know, it's constant, it's reoccurring, guys. And it brings you to one of my favorite songs that I found in January, and January always proves to give me a really good R&B soulful track, and I found Pray For Me by Salt. See how we have the piano and the violin together at the ends.
You were my life. You were my world. I need a little more faith in me. Oh.
That song is very beautifully written, and it's just such a message of self-strength. It's poetic on its own. The instrumentation perfectly says everything. Um, you, if you didn't even have the lyrics, like it would feel, I feel like the same, but her voice is so beautiful. And this is not an artist I've found before. The song more or less found me, and I feel like when I have those instances and cases, I do let them in. Again, like I said, my own little rules and boundaries aren't super linear. They're just like a slight method of where it should be, but I had to let this one in. And I just fuck man, I love this song so much, and it is honestly like the height of this playlist. It is a little bit towards the end of it, but it's just got that really strong message that I feel like is perfectly right, especially for everything that you do hear and experience. The last song that I really do want to highlight and talk about for our reoccurring Entropic Suspiria is Amber Waves by Ethel Cain. After Pray For Me, you have a very sonically instrumental couple of tracks with City of Stars, from La La Land, The Temples, Movement of Time, which is a very interlude thing, and it's supposed to feel like the end, but you get to Amber Waves by Ethel Cain, and I just want you guys to listen to that for real. Like, if you listen to anything um, on your own from this or any of these recommendations, start there. God, she killed it with that album cover too. It's so good. It's freaky. But that is an 11-minute track that just feels like a period on what the title is. I feel like it's the best way that I'm going to explain that one for you. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed a couple of recommendations from the playlist that I made this month. If you do like the sound of it and want to follow it, there's going to be both an Apple playlist and Spotify playlist down below. As the months pass us and we catch up to our in real life timeline, you're going to notice a change. My playlist will be all available on Apple for the year, but I do compile everything at the end. And I am a big person who practices letting go to let more in, and that is a very constant as well. So just think of it as like a nice spiral of sort or something. But to kind of hold on to that practice, there have been those black pictures being posted, especially on Twitter is where I've been finding them, but of it's just black and the names of the month. As each month passes us, I will be flipping the playlist cover to that, just so the respective playlist that is current gets its full attention. And if you follow my Apple or anything like that, you'll see the covers are all like that. So anything that has a real standout-ish kind of cover photo is something that feels very current or is very important to me at the time that it is. So that is just something for you guys moving forward. Again, it's going to be a practice that is built throughout the year, so you guys are going to see it right away with these first couple of playlists, especially since we're just now talking about them. But you will notice the changes. Yeah. Our last new little segment that I want to leave you guys with is the poetry that I come up with for the end of the month and how I describe it. And it's funny because the title is not connected to the poem, but in a way it is everything together, because I make the title based on the feeling and the poem comes at the end of the month. You guys are going to notice a lot of different media outlets as well with the Multimedia Diaries, and I hope you guys all follow along in your own different unique ways, and I appreciate anybody who is taking the time to listen. So for that, thank you for watching, and always with love, Fabian. And this is recurring Entropic Suspiria. Cinematic countdown. Delayed fall of snow. Government needs to be overthrown. Shroud in envelopes of white, for the night's call out. Sanctify our rights. Converge with the whispers, flow with the wind like water. Tornado through the city, earth and fire follow.